welcome to another episode of the Local Voices podcast. I had the privilege this week of chatting with Jill and Maddie McNeal. Maddie's tiny, adorable puppy, Honey, went missing a few days before Christmas, and I came across their story on the Cherokee Connect Facebook page. For those that may not know, Cherokee Connect is a community forum for Cherokee County residents. But I saw Jill's post looking for help finding Honey, and it was so neat because so many people commented offering to help search and offering their services and resources. But thankfully, their story had a very happy ending right before Christmas Day, and I'm excited for you guys to hear their story. It's really sweet, so let's just jump right in. Hi, ladies. How are you guys?
Good.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to chat with you guys. Just for those listening, I just got a glimpse at Honey, and I'm almost ready just to keel over because she's so cute.
She is so cute.
Thank you guys for joining today, and I'm so excited to hear how everything went down.
Well, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah. So if you want to take a second just to kind of introduce yourself.
My name's Maddie. Honey's my dog. I just got her a few months ago. I go to the University of Alabama, and I am a junior right now, about to start my second semester of college. But I'm home for break right now with my family.
And I'm Jill. I'm her mom, so I'm grandma to Honey. She has found her way into our hearts and into our home, and we love having them both here over the holidays.
She's precious. She's so cute. So how did Honey come into your family? Because she's little. She's like a baby, right?
Yeah, she's probably 16 weeks now ish. So 4 months around. So I've always wanted a wiener dog in general, and a blonde one specifically. I didn't expect to get it as early as I did, but I ended up finding her on a website called gooddog.com, which is like, there's an app for it. And it sounds so stupid, but there's an app for it and everything. And it's basically a bunch of people that have like available puppies and dogs and everything like that. And it's a super secure website that I used. And I ended up finding a picture of her, and I got in contact with the owner, and she was in Mississippi at the time, and I was at Alabama. So it was about a 3.5 hour drive. So I convinced my parents to let me get her as like an early birthday gift. And my boyfriend and I drove down to Mississippi and got her on a random like Tuesday. And yeah, we've just had her ever since. We had her for about 2 days in Alabama, and then we came here. And so my parents got to see her when she was like super baby. But yeah, we just got her from a breeder in Mississippi. And
yeah, Maddie just turned 21 a couple days ago. So this was her.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was one of her primary birthday gift. So
my main gift.
So what happened? I remember seeing on Cherokee Connect your original post. I think, was it you, Jill, that posted you were looking for somebody to come help search?
Yeah. So Maddie and I had gone to get our nails done, and my husband was here at the house and my son, and Honey had been in her crate, and my husband got her out, took her outside with our other dog. We have 2 other dogs, but Honey is particularly fond of our golden doodle, who she's a 40-pound, 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old golden doodle, and they're like best friends. So my husband took her out of her crate, and up until this point, we had let both of them just roam our backyard. It's fenced. We live on 5 acres, but a small portion of it's fenced. So we would let them roam around, and Honey learned from our other dog that going up into the leaves in the top part of the yard was super fun. And so my husband was cleaning out our pool, got some leaves out, and then took out his blower to blow off the patio. And we're assuming, of course, we don't know for sure, but we're assuming that that's what startled her, and she ran. So on our way home from getting our nails done, we get a call from my son that says, "We can't find Honey." And of course, we didn't think it was that big a deal. She's tiny. she mixes in with the color of the leaves. So we thought for sure she was hiding somewhere like in our fenced backyard.
Yeah.
But clearly that was not the case, as we could not find her for 50 plus hours.
Oh my gosh.
But we are pretty certain our fence is it's secure outside of the gate that leads to the back part of our property. There's just enough space underneath that gate for her to have squeezed herself under it. So we're pretty sure that that's how she got out, just because she was, a little scared of whatever the noise was, or curious, or whatever the case may be.
So you guys got a phone call, you said, from your husband? Is
From
that
my
right?
son.
Oh, from your son.
I got the call. My brother called me and he said, you should probably come home. We can't find Honey. And I said, how long has it been? And he said about 20 minutes. Because I guess my dad and Andrew didn't want to freak us out until it, I guess, had been a decent amount of time,
Yeah.
So I guess they had been looking for a little bit before Andrew called.
So we were planning on we were going to run some other errands, but we came straight home.
Mm-hmm.
When you made the post, if I remember correctly, wasn't that only that was 4 hours later or something? It was pretty soon after she went missing, right?
Yes. We didn't know what to do. So we
thought we'd be able to find her within a little bit.
So we came home, both of us, the four of us were all out looking. And then we realized that she was not anywhere. And so that's when panic kind of set in, and we didn't know what to do. We'd never lost a pet, certainly not a 15-week-old 6-pound puppy.
Yeah.
And with the amount of property that we have, and knowing how young and how cold it was going to be, of course, we were willing to do just about anything to bring her home before it got too cold and before she got too far away from the house or whatever.
So what was the response to your post? It seemed like so many people volunteered to come help. Is that right?
Yes. So the initial post was just that I had heard actually from one of my friends that there were drone companies in the area that could come and assist with pet searching. And so when I first posted, that was my post, was that I heard that there were drones in the area. Who is available? Is there anybody that does this? And then there was a lot of response. We heard from Mike, who is the owner of Top Gun Drone Services. And he was the first to reach out. But we did get lots of people willing to come on foot to do whatever. Super sweet, actually, how many people in the community were willing to come help us find her.
I think that's what drew me to the story. Was just, it seemed like she got so much love, so everybody was concerned about her and checking up on her, like, what's happening with Honey? And so I loved to see how much our community just kind of wanted to rally around you guys and support you guys and help find her, especially right really before Christmas.
Sweet. Yes. It was the 21st of December when she first went missing. And even apart from the post itself, I got, people were reaching out to Maddie, and then I got lots of Facebook instant messenger messages from people willing to come and help, offering to, send food, send people, do whatever they could do to help find her.
And you said she was missing for 50 hours. Is that what you said? 50
hours. Yes.
Wow. Tiny little thing. So what did you guys end up doing and trying? It seems like you're really passionate now about helping other people in this situation. So did you have any tips or tricks that you really found helpful, or what did you guys learn from everything?
Well, we learned a bunch because we didn't know anything. And our first step was to have the drone guy come out. Again, we weren't really sure where she was. There was, of course, some fear that birds, animals in the area may have gotten her, given her size. So that was really our first step, having never lost a pet. That was what we did first. And he came out and spent several hours, I think 4 or 5 hours, looking for her, as did the family. At this point, my in-laws were over. My husband was bundled up and out in the woods. And so he did search for several hours. And I want to say, an hour and a half, 2 hours into his search, he spotted her. And then my husband, around the same time, also spotted her.
But she was out and moving around for a minute. So the guy was able to see her. And then my dad kind of saw her right at the same time. And obviously at this point, we didn't really know how to approach her or like what the best kind of way to do it was. And he just like bent down and called her name, expecting her to kind of be like run to him or like freeze. And he tried to call her name and get her, and she ended up bolting off. So
from the drone, another thing that came up, which when in working with Mike, we now realize is, I guess he assumed that everyone had Google Maps downloaded on their phone. And my son was standing there with him, and he did see that Mike spotted Honey. And I guess the procedure, if I'm not mistaken, is to drop a pin on the animal and then send that pin to someone with Google Maps. Well, when he attempted to do that with my son, he didn't have Google Maps downloaded on his phone. And I think Mike assumed that everyone does. I do, but I wasn't
too, but I wasn't there.
Right. So he couldn't drop that pin. Well, at this point is around the time my husband saw her, and then called her name. On the phone. Yeah, chased her off by accident, not knowing. And then Mike was not able to spot her again. We're assuming, given her size and the temperature and just being scared, she probably found her way into a hole somewhere. And the thermal drone can't detect heat in a hole. She has to be pretty much at the surface of Earth to be able to see her.
But at this point, we at least knew that she was still like alive and out there. So we knew to.
And how long had it been?
A couple hours into the drone search.
It had been like 10 hours total, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we were deep into our search because she went missing around 2:30 in the afternoon, and this was maybe 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Or maybe not quite that late, but it was.
I think it was around 8.
Yeah, so we had been searching for quite a while, all of us, but then the drone had only been working for a couple of hours when he spotted her. So that was our good takeaway from the drone in the beginning was we knew she was out there. We knew about where she was.
And without the drone, we wouldn't have been able to
really know.
Yeah, who knows? We may have never seen her and not given up earlier, but kind of been like
not knowing what to do and not reaching out for more help at that point.
Right.
So then at that point he left after continuing the search for several hours after spotting her, and we weren't able to find her again. And after looking, I think he searched a total of 90 acres in this off our property and around us. And then he left and we were still panicked, not knowing what else to do. So then I got back on social media onto Cherokee Connect and was looking for tracking dogs, some sort of hunting dog, something that could track her scent and maybe help, since we knew she was back there, maybe help find exactly where she was with this dog. So just a random stranger from Jasper reached out and offered to come and search the woods for us. And so he spent a couple hours out there, my husband and him and his dog, and apparently picked up a scent, but never did find her. And then that was the end of the first night. I think he probably left around 1 o'clock in the morning, and we'd done everything we knew to do that day.
So you guys now are at another point. Where did you guys go from here?
So we had to go to bed, obviously. We didn't really like sleep, but there was nothing we could do that night anymore. Again, because the dog finished at 1 a.m. and it was freezing outside. It was like 20 degrees, 21 degrees.
Oh.
So we ended up having to go inside and try to sleep. And the next morning, another woman came out with her dog, a different dog. And this dog was specialized in finding other dogs and human scents. So she came over. It was a Rottweiler dog, and it we brought out Honey's like blankets that have been in her crate that she slept on a bunch and her toys that have her scent all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog would like sniff her blankets and then go out and sniff all around in the backyard and try to find a scent. Which she did. The dog did find a scent a few times, but never actually found Honey. So we kept trying, and about 2 hours into it, the dog obviously got tired and was kind of like, meh, don't really want to keep looking anymore. So, and there's nothing the woman could have done about it. It was just like the dog being a dog and kind of being tired and done. Yeah. So that dog left. And then at that point we were like, okay, we've had 2 search dogs and a drone come. So then what, you messaged people?
Yeah. So I had so many people reach out asking if they could just come help search. And so we reached out specifically to our closest family and friends. And of course that was plenty of people. We had 50 plus people that dropped everything and came out. We used to live in a neighborhood close to here, Harmony on the Lakes, which is a huge community.
Oh, yeah.
Met lots and lots of people there. We lived there for 16 years raising the kids. And so we've made many, many friends there. And lots of them came over and helped search. So we had people all over the property on foot looking for probably, 2 or 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So that was our next step. We didn't know. We had done the drone. We'd done 2 search dogs. And now we had all these people who were willing to come and help. We figured surely if she's out there, someone will see her.
Right.
But no luck with that either.
And this was still on your property, right?
Yes.
She never went off your property? Okay.
Well, and we just, I don't know, something told me there was no way, given her size and age, that she would go very far. And I know some dogs, like our bigger dog, Reese, she could have made it miles pretty quickly. But we were pretty sure, or at least, I don't know, it's just what made sense to us, I think, is she couldn't have gone that far just because she's so small.
Right.
So we just looked around our property. But our property, we own 5 acres, but we're also in a neighborhood with everyone else that owns 5 acres. So behind our house is really big, actually much.
Just like
goes
never
ending. We did not realize how much space there was until we went looking for her.
But it kind of just felt, just because of her color too, it just felt like a needle in a haystack, which kind of made us super, not that we like lost hope, but it made me feel super, I don't want to say hopeless, but in the moment I was kind of hopeless. Just like looking around back there and seeing like the never ending woods and how many people were looking, and that the drone was unsuccessful and the search dog was unsuccessful and everyone looking was unsuccessful. Like we were kind of at this point, just
felt really daunting. Like, how's this ever going to come together? Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww.
So then we had Mike come back that night.
In the meantime, yes, that's true. So Mike, I think people started searching on foot around 2:30 on the 22nd. And again, until about dusk, I guess, when the sun was setting and we were realizing that no one of all these people is seeing anything, hearing anything. So people started to make their way back home, and we were back at square one wondering what's next. And Mike had reached out and said if we needed him again, he would be available. And so we had him look, thinking, okay, maybe all these people stirred her up. Maybe he'll see her again.
And he was super good, especially in the fact that he came like the first night that my mom reached out or posted something, he was here within like an hour.
Yeah.
And then the second time we needed him, he was here within an hour again. Like he was super willing to just come out immediately, which was really helpful for us just because we were so stressed out at the time that like him being able, like him coming so quickly and being willing to help right when we needed him was super. I don't know what I would. Yeah, I mean, it helped a lot. Like in a situation where we felt like there was nothing else we could do and we were super anxious to find her, like someone showing up quickly like that was really nice.
Yeah. And it made us feel like we were doing something. And I think that's the key to the whole search effort for her was we wanted to keep doing something. Every time something didn't work, we were on to the next thing to try to figure out what should we be doing next? What else can we do? We're not giving up.
Right. So then where'd you go from there?
So he searched that night with the drone and no luck again. But while he was searching, we got a call or a message from someone named Lovey. What's her last name?
Myers.
Lovey Myers. Mm-hmm. And basically Lovey has been recovering dogs and researching dogs and basically helping families find lost pets for years and years and years. And she gets so many cases and people asking for help throughout the year that she has a big team of people too that she's trained to kind of help her out in different areas in case, just because she gets people from all over the country asking for help. So we get a message from her and someone named Lavonda, who is one of the women that she's trained. She had seen our story on Cherokee Connect and reached out wanting to help us. So the drone was still in the air at this point, and me and my mom were in the basement on this. We got on a phone call with Lavonda, and she basically started to explain to us kind of just what she knows about dog behavior more than anything, not as much like telling us what we should and shouldn't do at this point. She was just explaining to us like how Honey might be behaving and what we're doing could or couldn't bring her back. Mm-hmm. So she started to explain to us, because we told her exactly what we had just told you. Like we told her the whole rundown of what we had done already. And she basically was like, she was very understanding in the fact that we were trying everything we could in the moment, just because we didn't know what else to do besides get drones to come, get people to come, just have anyone help. But she basically explained to us that things like drones, people being on foot, search dogs, even just calling out her name can scare her away farther and make her not want to come out, even if it's, again, as innocent as just calling her name out or like shaking a bag of treats. So she basically recommended to us, she said, if I were you right now, considering the drone hasn't recovered her and the search dog hasn't recovered her and the 50 plus people haven't recovered her, clearly that's evidence that those methods aren't working and we need to start trying something else. And she said that she basically started giving us her tips on how she's been successful in recovering dogs in the past, which has been hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. So she basically told us just stop what we're doing, stop the drones, stop the search dogs, don't have anyone else go out there. At this point, it was 10 at night.
Yeah. He was almost done with his search. So my husband was out there with him. And as we're being told this information about, get it quiet, let it get quiet outside and stop all this rigmarole that you're doing to try to find her. My husband wanted him to at least finish searching.
Just in case.
Yeah. All that. He was on a very purposeful path into what he was searching. So He wanted him to finish the search. So he did finish his search. But after that, that was when, like Maddie said, that we were then going to take these recommendations and go forward with them.
So Mike finished up his drone and went home, and we got put in a Facebook Messenger group chat with about 6 ladies and Lovey. So basically a bunch of women that Lovey had trained and have a bunch of experience in recovering lost pets. So they were basically explaining to us what our next step should be. They said their first recommendation was setting out a comfort station, they called it, for Honey, which basically we put her crate out by our fence. We left the gate doors open and we put her crate out by the fence with something with my scent on it, like dirty clothes, like something that I'd worn with my scent all over it. Something with Honey's scent on it. And then we put food out there as well.
And that was the location of that comfort station was at what we considered was the point of escape. So that was also a recommendation. Again, we assumed she left out the back gate. So they suggested that we put it where she escaped because that would be her point of reentry.
Her path back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her path back home. So,
and then they also Mike recommended this as well, and so did Lovey, was liquid smoke. Which did you just get it from the grocery store?
Yep, just from the grocery store. It's like a meat marinade almost, but it's very potent. So I guess it's recommended more than, other stuff like it.
And they recommended we put it all around the gate of our house. But that was it, right? I think we only put it around the gate, which is, it can bring, like, it's a smell that all animals can smell because it's, again, like super potent. So that's all she, oh, and then my mom went and picked up a camera from them. So they were super helpful, especially in like, they were like, oh yeah, you can, again, this was at 11 at night. Feel free to drive over, pick up this camera that we have that detects movement, set up this comfort station and set up the camera outside of the comfort station so you can look in the morning and see if there was any movement, if she came near it, whatever. So my mom drove there and picked up the camera, and my dad went back out and set the camera up like kind of on a tree facing the comfort station that we had set up, hoping that
we would see her.
We would see some sort of movement.
So these cameras are, there's an app that you download to connect to the particular camera that you have out, and any movement that's sensed, it takes a still photo. So when in putting it on the tree, the hope is that she's going to come, whether she stays at the comfort station or not. If she makes her way back there at all, these still photos are going to catch her presence, and we would know that she's still out there. So that was the night of the 22nd. Yeah, late into the morning of the 22nd.
So we were on the phone with Lavonda for about an hour. She was giving us all of these tips, all of kind of her background, like kind of obviously explaining why we should trust her and what she's saying, which is very valid for her to explain to us. So she basically, at the end of our conversation, we set up this comfort station, we set up the camera, and she said, tomorrow it's going to be a little warmer outside, which is good because what do they say? Usually on the third or fourth day, the puppy or the dog will start coming out of wherever it's hiding from because it's hungry. So she was like, tomorrow, like she could have been hunkered down this entire time because she's not hungry enough yet to kind of, I guess, face her fears a little bit of coming out of her little hole she had dug. But she said tomorrow, and tonight, let's just leave it, let it be quiet, because all she's been hearing is constant noise, her name being called. So let's just make it quiet outside, and hopefully she'll feel safe enough to come out of wherever she's hiding and start sniffing around, hopefully find these scents that we have put out and come back to her comfort station or come home. So we felt hopeful with that information because she also explained to us, because another one of our worries at this point was it had been 48 hours and we were kind of like, it's been really cold outside. She's really small. Like an animal could have gotten her at this point. Like we were just kind of worried, but they were explaining to us that dogs are a lot smarter and have a lot of like, their instincts are very strong. Like they're capable of a lot more than we think they're capable of, which she was explaining to us, which kind of gave us a lot of hope actually.
She actually said, I'm not worried about her dying of hunger, dying of thirst, or dying of the temperatures that are currently out there. If it were in the negative numbers, that would be a different case. But even at 20 degrees, she was not super concerned. They also said that given the time of year and the type of land that we live on, she had a lot of options in terms of places to keep herself warm. And given the colder temperatures, there are other animals, snakes, other animals that are not as prevalent at this time of year.
That makes sense.
So that was all in her favor as well, which also gave us lots of hope, enough hope that I think we actually maybe slept a few hours that night.
Yeah.
Hoping that the next day would bring her home.
So then the next morning we woke up and we were still in contact. Like we're in a Facebook Messenger group chat with these women, and it was super nice. We could text anything we wanted, any sort of question, and they would respond almost immediately with answers and explanations on what to do. And like I would text at some points and be like, I'm kind of worried that she froze to death. And they'd send back a paragraph as to why they think that isn't the case and why we should keep looking and whatever, which was super helpful at this point because it felt like we had tried everything and it felt kind of hopeless. And now that we had these people that were so hopeful and like willing to help and giving us like things to do based on like dog behavior that they have studied and know very well. It was super helpful and motivating. So the next day we did what they said, and we left it. It was a warmer day, only about 50 something, but way warmer than it had been. And we started making these lost dog signs that they also provided to us.
And my husband also went and picked up 2 additional cameras, given the size of our property.
Mm-hmm.
They suggested we put, and they do all of this out of the kindness of their hearts. This did not cost us a penny.
Wow.
They gave us 2 additional cameras so that we could position those from where we thought the last sighting was, which we weren't 100% sure, but we had a pretty good idea. If you go out into our woods, you will quickly understand that you can lose your sense of direction pretty quickly. But they suggested we keep the one on the comfort station and then position the other 2 kind of in the area where we thought she had been seen a couple nights before. So my husband went and picked all of that up, picked up the signs. And that's what Maddie was saying about making all the lost dog signs. There were about 20 of them. And it was really cool because Lavonda also took Google Maps, sent it to me. And what she did is looked at every street, every opportunity a car or a person would have from our property around, I don't know what the radius was, but and then told us specifically where to place each of those signs.
So we could go on the Google Maps and there would be like little flags of where she wanted us to put the signs based off of, I guess, like her previous experience and how far she knew to go, just in case somehow Honey did travel farther than we expected her to. So they provided us with these bright yellow signs that said lost dog with their number on it. And all we had to do, and they had like stakes that we put in the ground, and all we had to do was print out a lost dog little like photo of her, which they also designed.
Yep.
So we printed them out and laminated them, and we were doing that. And I was on the phone with Lovey, and Lovey recommended, because at this point it was probably like 1 p.m. and we hadn't been outside all day except for my dad putting up the cameras, but he was very quiet. And
I had gone around and put all the signs up.
Yes. My mom had been, no, you hadn't started that yet.
No, I had already started it.
But she had to come back because you needed more.
I needed more laminated pictures because there were more signs than we had pictures.
So Lovey and Lavonda and all of them, again, in our messenger group chat, recommended to me that they said if you want to do, because it was kind of driving me crazy that we were just sitting inside. Obviously, I knew that there was good intention behind it and like what they were telling us was true and would work. But they said if you want to do something, it could be very helpful that you go out with Reese, which is our golden doodle, which again, Honey is really good friends with and hangs out with all the time, like very familiar with, which they called a magnet dog. Go out with Reese on a leash and walk, not only just like walk with Reese, but the point was to create a scent trail, which they called it. So they told me to walk in 4 different directions, basically north, east, south, and west from our house. So I would walk out and then back to the house and then to the right and back to the house to create a trail that if Honey were to come out and sniff, she would smell my trail and make her way back to the house. But they wanted me to bring Reese with me because while I walked those trails, they wanted me to kind of talk to Reese in a playful way, like saying good girl to her and saying like that I was giving her treats, which I was because she was walking with me through the woods and stuff. And like super like high pitched, playful voice. And then when I got to the end of where I was walking, I would sit down and play with Reese, like give her belly rubs and do all of that kind of thing. But I was only saying Reese's name. I was not saying Honey's name at all. I was only saying like Reese, again, playfully, in all 4 directions. Their method for me doing that, again, was the scent trail and also me saying Reese's name and kind of talking to her in a playful tone was also, it was possible that could bring Honey out because she would be jealous of me playing with Reese and also feel safe because I was talking to Reese in a playful tone and not a fearful tone, not a desperate tone like we've been doing, trying to find Honey, like just a very playful, safe tone of voice. And also not mentioning Honey's name, just Reese. So she could definitely smell Reese too.
Yeah, Levy said that that when you call their name, which this goes against anything you would naturally think to do, you go outside and call their name and you think they're going to come. But when they're in these situations where they're lost and can't find their way home, they're in fight or flight mode. And even though it's a familiar voice calling their name, they don't recognize the voice. They hear the name being called, and that is
someone's recognizing me.
It just makes them scared, which is so interesting. We obviously did not know that going into this, but the squeaking toys, the yelling of her name, regardless of the fact that it's us and we would expect that she would recognize us, it does not work that way for them when they're in that situation, which is why Lovey was suggesting talking to Reese, because she will recognize our voices and that will help snap her out of that fight or flight mode that she's in. Right. Because it's not her name being called.
So I did what she said, and I talked to Reese northeast, south, and west of our house. Took about 30, 45 minutes. Came inside, and my mom at this point was out putting out a few more signs. And while she was doing that, she just had me laminating the last few pictures to put on the last few signs that she would come back and grab and put out. And my dad was outside. What was he? Oh, he was smoking.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Smoking chicken or
brisket. Cooking food. Just to try to get her to come home.
Yeah, like he was just in our backyard, awesome. Like not making any noise, just kind of smoking different kinds of meat to
try to entice her.
Yes, because again, it was the third or fourth day and they naturally get hungry and we hadn't been making a sound. It was warm out. So we wanted her to come out and smell the food and
come looking for home.
It. Yeah. So I was laminating these photos. My dad was outside smoking the meat and his phone was inside. And he gets a call on his phone and it's a number from our location, but he didn't have it saved in contacts. So I just went over there and answered it because I was like, at this point, like, who knows? I answered it and they basically said, I think, is this Scott? And I was like, it's his daughter, but yes, it's just his phone. And they said, I think we have your puppy. And at this point, I was freaking out. My mom was on the phone on my phone. So she was hearing me answer my dad's phone. And I started asking a bunch of questions because at this
we didn't realize it was the neighbor.
Yeah, we didn't realize it was the neighbor. I thought it was just someone in the neighborhood maybe or whatever. I started asking a bunch of questions about like, oh, does she look like this and this and this? Because one part of me, I'd been kind of let down so many times. Not let down, but I would have my hopes up so high, hoping that these search dogs, drones, et cetera, would find her. And they didn't. So I didn't want to drive to this house and it not be her. And then,
right.
You 10 times more upset. So I was asking a bunch of questions and they were like, I was like, can we FaceTime and I can see? And they were like, we don't have FaceTime. We're calling from our landline because it's our neighbors and they're
an older couple.
They're an older couple.
Yeah.
And they couldn't FaceTime. So, but at that point they were like, but we're your neighbors. And I was like, oh, what? They were, yeah, the brick house behind you. So I drove over there immediately and I was there in 0.2 seconds, obviously, because they're our neighbors. And I knocked on the front door and she just came running up and she was like crying, but not crying of like pain or anything. I think just kind of like
excited to see you.
Excited. Like what's going on? Confused.
She had wandered up on their back porch, which we had searched around their house because our first sighting of her, our only sighting of her, was up toward that house. So our house sits in the middle of our property and then theirs, they built toward the back of theirs. So they sit up further back in the woods than we are. And that's back where we had kind of spotted her. So we all thought maybe she had made her way to that house. Of course, they had not seen her. They knew we were looking for her. So we hunted all around the outside of their house when we were on foot the day before and nothing. So,
but once I did this thing with Reese and the whole magnet dog situation, which we got the call that she wandered onto the porch 45 minutes after I did that. So I think that's what got her to come out. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. But yeah, that's how we ended up finding her. It was I guess it
was about 3:30
it was the third day. It
yeah.
had been 2 nights and it was the third day. So
it was December 23rd. In the middle, like 3:30 in the afternoon when we finally got her.
And we got her, took her to the vet, got her checked out. I think she went from 6.9 pounds to 6.3. So nothing drastic. Probably a lot of water weight, to be honest. Nothing too bad. She did come inside and start inhaling food and water and
drinking and sleeping. She was tired.
She slept for like 48 hours straight, just getting up to eat and stuff. But
she had quite the adventure. We wish she could talk and tell us all about it.
Exactly.
And it was so nice too. Like even after we found her, just the amount of people that were commenting on like my mom's post and people that we've never met before even too, saying they had been praying and they were so worried and they were so happy that we found her.
I got stopped by 3 different people putting up signs that I've never met saying, is this Honey that are you still haven't found her? Are these signs for Honey? And I'm never met these people. They just wanted me to know that they were praying for us. And if we needed anything to reach out. And it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
I love that. I love, first and foremost, that she is home. And I highly suspect she has not left your site at all.
Nope. Sitting right in front of us right now.
She's leashed at all times. Yes.
Even in the house.
On the way.
Yeah.
No, I'm so happy for you guys that she's home. And I just love that the community volunteered and stepped up and, hopefully all those things collectively and individually, at different times help get her home. I love that.
We really believe it was a community effort. There was some back and forth on Cherokee Connect about who has the right method and, what you should and shouldn't do. And in our particular situation, I think we did what we knew to do at the time. And I think collectively as a community, that's
no one's perfect and no one like has a ton of experience right when this happens to you for the first time, obviously. So there's no way for anyone to do the exact perfect thing the first time, So obviously we're human and we didn't do every single thing perfectly, but every single person that came, the drone, the search dogs, the people from Cherokee Connect that came to search, like every single thing helped, whether it was physically helping, like when the drone saw her, or whether it was helping in the sense of giving us hope and giving us like
purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes sense too that every dog is different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know. And really even with Lovey's people and the number of dogs that they've recovered, I think she might be one of the youngest ones, because they were using a lot of the techniques that work on dogs per se, older dogs.
Right. Senior dogs, they would use a lot of, because it's like a human. You start out as a baby and then you're an adult.
You grow and learn.
You end up becoming kind of like, when you're very elderly, you become kind of like a child again.
Right.
In the sense that you need to be taken care of. And they said that that's very similar with dogs. So we took a lot of the advice on what they suggested for older dogs.
Because they were assuming she as a baby would act more like that.
Which proved it to be.
It worked.
Yeah.
I would say if we had to do it again, if we were to lose a pet again, I think there's a place for everything that we did in our search. I think we would do it in a different order.
That makes sense.
I think for sure we would try to draw her home using the techniques that Lovey suggested. And we think the techniques that ultimately brought her back to us first. But I definitely think there are times for drones. That's something that even Lovey and her people say with very elderly dogs that are unwell, injured. That's definitely a time for a drone. But for a lot of dogs, the sound of the drone can be scary. I don't know.
Not for every single one, but it's common that the drone can scare away dogs. And if a dog is healthy and active, it could possibly cause the dog to run away farther. Whereas if it's an elderly dog or an injured dog and it's not going to move or not going to move very far at all, the drone can be very helpful.
Which I think for us, Honey's so young and little that we really, again, like we said earlier, didn't think she'd go far. I think that the drone was definitely a positive for us because it allowed us to know she was back there. But if we were to do it again, I think we would do it just in a different order. We'd try to bring her home with the comfort station and the quiet and the scent tracking that Maddie did with the magnet dog, and then go from there. If there wasn't a way if she didn't bring herself home that way, then we would definitely seek out other resources. Because
progressively get more aggressive with it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we would have wanted, God forbid she didn't make it home, we would have wanted closure in some way. We would have wanted to find her and not just be left with the unknown, what happened.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely room for all of the people that were involved. They all were.
But everyone that did help us helped so quickly. Like the drone, again, like I said, came within the hour. The search dogs messaged on Cherokee Connect and basically said, I'm on my way right away. Lovey and her team messaged us and started helping us immediately right when they saw our post. Like everyone was just super, I don't know, what's the word?
Supportive.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if that's the best word, but it was really neat to see the community come together. I mean, when I first put that post out there, I really was just looking for somebody to give me the information that I needed, and then I would go with it. But it turned into much more than that with the people that were supporting us and praying for us and praying that Honey would find her way back. It was overwhelming, really. Very, very cool.
Oh, I can imagine that was overwhelming. And again, like you said, you're just trying to, this is one direction I know I could go in. I'm asking specifically for this one thing. And everybody's like, hey, I've got this resource. I've got this resource. I think that's so cool. And honestly, I think it really highlights how cool our community is and how what's the word? I guess I'll just go back to your word, supportive. Supportive everybody can be. So I think that's awesome. I know I was one of the ones that was praying for Honey, and I was checking Cherokee Connect every day or so, and I was like, if they found her yet, and so yeah, I'm so glad she's home. You guys had a good Christmas, I assume?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was it could have been really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
half my gifts were for Honey.
Yeah, they were, Dotson related, or we were. It would have been a tough one for sure.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time just to share this story. And again, I'm so thankful for you guys that she's home. She is so cute.
Yes, she's precious.
She actually, we had a golden. Unfortunately, he passed at the beginning of last year, but she looks like a mini version of him.
I know she has the color of a golden, but in her dog form.
Yeah, she's the color of our big dog Reese. They definitely have some similarities for sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's awesome. Thank you, ladies. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week and stay warm. It sounds like it's supposed to get really cold.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fun.
Oh, I feel honored. So thank you guys. We'll hopefully check in soon.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in this week. That was such a fun conversation, and hopefully their experience will help other people. Jill and Maddie are so sweet, and it was such an honor to meet them and chat with them. That was so fun. The next episode will be out in a couple of weeks. I'll be talking with my friends Christina and Adrian about their embryo adoption journeys, so make sure to tune in on January 31st for that. Bye, guys.